Look, 5 years ago, I decided I want to start doing these events. And these events, if you haven't caught on yet, it's really the ultimate platform to create a collision course between networks, energy, water, buildings, cities, right? All kinds of infrastructure, sensors, software. It all needs to come together. Dave Smith, that told you earlier that is a system of systems thinking, is absolutely right. Right? And Morgan could tell you that the way he won the battle against the big boys on Nextel was the same thinking. Right? And so we'll hear from him about it. But when we started this event, we also decided that we wanted to honor every year a superstar, somebody who had done serious contributions to society on technology, on business models, on innovation, somebody who really, really hit it out of the ballpark. Not once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, right? So we have inducted into the Digital 360 Hall of Fame John Wellinghoff, former FERC chairman, Pat Wood, former FERC chairman, and Audrey Sibelman, who is now a executive at Google trying to figure out how to transform the energy industry. And before that, she was this executive at Australia for energy, and she was the commissioner, the chairman of the commission, Public Service Commission in New York. Okay, and so this year, in the same theme of switching and not staying just with energy over and over and over, we're now, they said, let's give it to somebody that has this telecom background that we need. And you've heard, and several folks have talked about the importance of the merging of the energy industry and the telecommunications industry to solve the next generation use cases. Okay? So anyway, so before I say anything else, we have a video that we have put together.
Morgan O'Brien is a graduate of Georgetown University and earned his law degree from Northwestern University. He was recognized in 1987 as New Jersey Entrepreneur of the Year and was voted the RCR Person of the Year in 1993 and again in 2006. Since 2009, Mr. O'Brien has served as an independent consultant to several wireless startups. As co-founder and chairman of Nextel, Mr. O'Brien led the creation of the first all-digital nationwide wireless network, the Nextel National Network, and brought push-to-talk communication to the mass business and consumer markets. After the merger of Nextel with Sprint Corporation in 2004, he was a co-founder of Siren Call Communications Corporation, where he served until January 2009. In 2005, he was inducted into the Washington, D.C. Business Hall of Fame. In 2007, he was named a Fellow of the Radio Club of America and was named one of the top U.S. wireless innovators of all time by Fierce Wireless. In 2016, Mr. O'Brien was awarded the Armstrong Medal, the highest award of the Radio Club of America, for demonstrated excellence and lasting contributions to radio arts and sciences. Mr. O'Brien has served as the executive chairman on the board of Anterix since July 2020 and has been a member of their board since April 2012. From May 2014 to April 2018, he served as vice chairman, and from April 2018 to June 2020, he led Anterix as the chief executive officer. He has served on a number of boards and other public companies, including Sprint, Williams Telecommunications, and GTT Communications, Inc. He also serves on the board of several private companies and charitable organizations. And it is for all these reasons that we are proud to induct Morgan O'Brien into the Digital 360 Summit Hall of Fame.
So I have a quick, beautiful trophy that you can now see from back there. It's a glass, identical to all the others, and it says 2022 Digital 360 Summit Hall of Fame inductee Morgan O'Brien, produced by CMG. Morgan, thank you for everything you've done for humanity.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to tell a story. Once upon a time, happily ever after, once upon a time, happily ever after. Well, you're probably saying, well, that's not a story. The story is what goes in between once upon a time and happily ever after. And that's exactly what I want to talk about tonight. The story that goes between once upon a time and I hope happily ever after, but happily ever after is the future. The time we're in is a time of such crisis and opportunity for the electric grid in the United States that all of us, and I'm totally proud that a group of us, basically strangers from the wireless world, have now been accepted into the utility world and are helping try to define and work on this unbelievable crisis and opportunity. And let me talk about some of the dimensions of this that we see. And as I say, we're relatively new to the space. We find it far more important, far more challenging than anything we did in wireless. And yet it is uniquely suited to some of the solutions that we've helped develop in wireless. So all of us, as this story fleshes out in the next few years, and this isn't going to be a long, long story. This story has to get from once upon a time to happily ever after pretty soon. Or as the citizens of the United States, we're going to be living in a much less attractive place when the energy crisis really takes hold. And the impact of that on the utility industry is really felt. Unless meetings like this, coming together of not just the wireless industry and the utility industry, but the public sector and the private sector. The private sector as represented by utilities with a monopoly business plan, and the private sector such as us, which couldn't be farther from that, the entrepreneurs that are now active in this space, trying to help develop a way forward. So let me just take a few of the things we've seen that are going to shape the way this story ends, hopefully happily. Certainly the electrification of transportation is one. That if we don't significantly increase the demands on the grid by electrifying transportation, then we're going to have the very unhappy ending of global crisis with emissions getting to the point of no return. And yet this is why this is so fascinating, how do we get from basically doubling the required power from the grid to electrify transportation and at the same time hit zero emission goals that government is posting for 2025, which is almost tomorrow in many ways, if you try to think about it, and 2050. So I mean, how can those two realities coexist? And at the same time, we recognize that this amazing workhorse of a grid, which is relatively unchanged for 100 years, must be radically transformed, turned from one-way to two-way, and the users, the users of the network, the grid, must start to play a role in not just using power, but producing power. I mean, these conundra, which I guess is the right plural of conundrum, these challenges make a meeting like today, for us, you know, a feast. A feast of hearing what the other elements that are going to be part of this solution are going to require, and putting names and faces together on the way in which the solution is developed. I could spend hours talking about, I have the enthusiasm of somebody who's new to the space, just how challenging this is going to be, but also how exciting I think some of the solutions are. But this is not the time, it is the place, but not the time to be describing and going into these things in depth. But I particularly welcome this recognition because of the opportunity it gives us to identify ourselves as strangers from another planet, Planet Wireless, who have entered into this space, or entrepreneurs in a world that doesn't really have entrepreneurs. We are not afraid of breaking eggs to make omelets. We've lived for a very long time being very unpopular with most of the cellular wireless world. Even though we respect them hugely, we were not beloved. Nextel was not beloved by that environment. Basically, disruptors, very constructive disruptors, but disruptors are often not popular. But let me end by saying that, reiterating, there isn't that much time to get to a happy ending. And I don't enjoy that realization. I think it's kind of scary. But it appears to be the case that an awful lot has to be done, and it's very difficult to balance all of the various elements of it. It'll never happen if we don't have very creative partnerships, public-private partnerships, partnerships of different types of enterprise, and a serious intent to get this done. I am just sort of, it's probably a hard job to get, but I like to consider myself number one in the fan club of Andres Carvalho because he is the consummate networker. And if we don't network our way out of this solution, I think we're going to be in some trouble. So once upon a time, we came upon this creative opportunity and this crisis, and it'll depend on what we all do in the next few years, whether that's going to have a happy ending, happily ever after. I'm, of course, a glass half full type guy, so let's all commit ourselves to it and enjoy the fact that in this unique system of America in which competitors sit down together to figure out ways through things, that we are in that environment and enjoy that and celebrate it. Thank you so much for your attention. I can't wait for the cocktail hour to commence. Thank you.
Larry and Byron, come up. So Morgan, stay with us here because we're going to get some pictures later in a moment here. Let's go to the next slide. So I'm asking, grab a chair, please. Go ahead. It's you know, these guys, we rehearsed this like 6 times yesterday, but everybody was tipsy. Um, I need to take my glasses off. I can't see when I read them in my glasses. So, how do you follow that? Well, you follow that with the aspiration and the hope of the new blood. So, just like we are inducting Morgan O'Brien happily into the Digital 360 Hall of Fame, we also decided last year to start the Entrepreneur of the Year award. Somebody who would want to follow into Morgan O'Brien's footsteps and be somebody like him someday. So to give the trophy away, we have last year's winner, Larry Tittle. And basically, I'm happy to say that after much debate among the team, we decided to nominate and award this next slide to Byron Rojas. And basically, this is a little bit on him. So he is an innovative mind. Passion and optimistic are some of the characteristics used to refer to him by many. He's the architect of Easy Metering, a company that is focused on delivering what he calls broadband AMI, a solution offered to the electric utility global market with an innovative business model of AMI as a service. Byron Rojas is one of the pioneers and forerunners of what is now known as the Internet of Things, integrating smart meters into GPRS or second generation of cellular technology. For his vision, he was invited to be an author in the Energy Central magazine of an article titled How Broadband Smart Meters Can Change the New Clean Energy Economy, where he explains that the green energy efforts will modernize the electric grid of any country if we accelerate the smart meter adoption and LTE as a telecom standard for AMI deployments across the world. Byron Rojas leads Easy Metering, putting his brand along with grand companies in the utility industry. Besides, Easy Metering has the first smart meter as a commercial-ready technology of the Anterix active ecosystem. So not only is he following Morgan, but he's riding on his coattails as well. The dude is really smart. So with that said, let me have Larry come up here and present the Entrepreneur of the Year award to Byron Rojas. Applause or welcome.
So on behalf of the Digital 360 Summit 2022 Entrepreneur of the Year, I'd like to introduce Byron Rojas. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you to all Digital 360 Summit organizers for choosing me and giving me this recognition. I want to dedicate it to my family, my sons, Joaquin, Juan Pablo, especially to my daughter, Maria, who always help me and support me. To my Easy Metering team, they are an important part of my life. And in general, to all people like friends, customers, partners that made possible that I am here. It is impossible not to remember my beginnings. I come from Ecuador, a South America country. In fact, I knew in the United States. In '99, when I started my entrepreneurial adventure, I had nothing, only my degree in electronic and telecommunication engineering. 3 years of professional experience, my laptop, my daughter was born, and above all, my passion for growing up. In the beginnings of the '90s, in my country, happened a great thing. Bell South was a mobile network operator in my country. It was providing service only for calls and short messages. You know, the technology initially was only for call and text. But this company installed the first generation of cellular digital packet data network using Internet Protocol. In fact, my country was the first one in use this revolutionary technology in Latin America region, after Canada and USA, of course. I had the opportunity to work in this emerging solution. My responsibility was to integrate different devices like automatic teller machines, point of sales, alarm systems, GPS, and other use cases into the cellular data network environment. I saw big opportunities. I fall in love with this technology, with cellular data. I realized that this technology will transform our lives. We are living right now that, yeah. I dedicated many years to develop products using cellular technologies and especially integrating power meters. This is the reason why now easy metering is boosting broadband advanced metering infrastructure using the most advanced LTE networks. It's amazing to see my company being part of a select group of very important leading companies focused in the grid transformation and the digitalization of electric utilities. On another hand, we need to avoid a climate disaster, stop the global warming, and accelerate the clean energy adoption. For this reason, at this hearing, decarbonization is our mission. We believe that the smart meters and broadband are essential to neutralize carbon emissions. We are becoming the smart meter inactive element into the smart grid using broadband. And we are innovating in the way how people in the future will buy and sell energy. This is an interesting point. This is the future. We are incorporating existing and new concepts in the metering industry, like energy virtualization, energy disaggregation, distributed intelligence, and more. Okay, guys, I would like to invite you to the Smart Energy and Utilities panel. I will talk about what are you doing in our company to make energy smarter. And we hope that you visit our booth. Our team will be explaining you about our technology and benefits. Thank you, Andres. You are an amazing guy. Congratulations, because Digital 360 Summit is your contribution, is a best contribution to your community, university, industry, your country, economy, and the world. For this reason, we are proud and happy to be part of CEDAR. Thank you. Thank you.